What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing another NASCAR Silly Season update. I'm going to recap everything that's happened through the 2025 to 2026 NASCAR Silly Season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Let's begin by talking about Connor Zilch, as Connor Zilch is expected to join the NASCAR Cup Series on a full-time basis in 2026 and drive the number 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. With how strong Connor Zilch has been in Xfinity Series competition with 6 wins as a rookie, including 5 wins in the last 11 races, Connor Zilch, in my opinion, is ready to make that jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series, and an announcement is coming very soon for Connor Zilch. During Daytona 500 week, Mark Truex Jr. mentioned that Tricon Garage could be open to making some more NASCAR Cup Series starts, not just in 2025, but 2026 as well. Tricon's only ran the Daytona 500. I think there's a chance to see Tricon make more starts in the NASCAR Cup Series in the future, as they've been open to doing some more starts. They were going to run more, hasn't happened yet at this point, but they might make more starts in the future. One team that might be in the NASCAR Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2026 is Junior Motorsports, as they could potentially join the Cup Series on a full-time basis next year. Now, there is a chance they could have a partnership with Trackhouse Racing. They would need a charter to go full-time. I think it's more realistic they'll at least be a part-time team next year. Probably not a full-time team because of the charter prices at this point, but JRM may be in the Cup Series sooner rather than later. One driver early in the year that was cleared to return to racing was Kurt Busch. He raced in a race of champions not so long ago, and I believe is expected to be racing at Laguna Seca very soon in the IROC with IROC. Kurt Busch, of course, has been retired from NASCAR for the last couple of years. I don't know if he'll ever come back to NASCAR at this point, but he has been cleared to return to racing. Let's talk about Austin Hill real quick. Austin Hill's 2026 plans have not been announced at this point. I would lean toward him being back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2026. I don't think he's ready to move up to the Cup Series at this point, and I would think he'll be back with Rich Schultz Racing in 2026, but he's in a contract year. Of how big his temper has been this season, he may not be in, but we'll see what happens with Austin Hill. One team that may make a return to the Truck Series next year is GMS Racing. There's been a lot of talk that they could be part of the new Dodge/Ram program next season, and there's been a lot of talk about this team coming back. GMS Racing had a lot of success in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, including winning a couple championships with Johnny Sauter and other drivers like Sheldon Creed as well. We may see them back in NASCAR next season. One driver that's expressed interest coming back to NASCAR is Kasey Kahne. After having a solid run early in the race at Rockingham and Xfinity, Kasey Kahne said he's been open to making more starts in NASCAR. He could come back and do some starts in 2026. I think it'd be great for him to make a few starts with RCR or another team or organization, but Kasey Kahne may be back in the sport in the not-so-distant future in some way, shape, or form. It was announced early in the year that Rodney Childers have left Spire Motorsports early in the season. Rodney Childers, though, is expected in some way, shape, or form to be back in the NASCAR Cup Series next year. My prediction, he is going to be the crew chief for Connor Zilch next season at Trackhouse Racing. He's been really high on Connor Zilch this season. I would love to see him work with Connor. He's a really big fan of Connor's as well. I think he'll be with Connor Zilch as the crew chief in 2026. It was confirmed in May that Austin Cindric would not be leaving Team Penske and will stay with them for the next couple of years. Austin Cindric's father, Tim Cindric, was involved in the scandal that took place at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500 earlier this year. Austin Cindric, in my opinion, though, has shown some decent success, and he'll stay with Team Penske at least for the 2026 and probably 2027 season. One team that's expressed interest in maybe coming back to NASCAR in the future is Chip Ganassi Racing. They're not ruling out a return to the NASCAR in the future. Chip Ganassi has expressed interest on that, especially rumors of Honda down the road maybe coming back to the sport. I think that's the most likely way we'll see Chip Ganassi Racing back, is with a return and potential come in with Honda. It was announced during Charlotte weekend that William Byron has signed a multi-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports that will last through 2029. With how good William Byron's been with Hendrick Motorsports for the last couple of years, this is no surprise at this point. He's been really strong with the program. He'll stay with Hendrick through 2029. It was also confirmed during the Charlotte week as well that Kyle Busch will also be returning to Richard Schultz Racing in 2026 and continue driving a number 8 car. He will likely become a free agent at the end of next year, as this was an option year with RCR. They picked up that option. Kyle Busch may be happier at times, who knows at this point, but he'll stay with RCR at least for one more year. It was also confirmed as well that Austin Hill will be returning to Rich Schultz Racing in 2026 to drive a number 3 car. Next year could be the last year for Austin Dillon, as there's been talk over the last couple years of maybe going up in a higher up position at RCR. I think Austin Dillon fits that position at this point. I think he'll go to more of a management role in the not-so-distant future. During National Weekend, it was confirmed that AJ Allmendinger would be returned to Kaulig Racing in NASCAR Cup Series competition in 2026 and continue driving a number 16 car. He's had a solid year this year with Kaulig Racing, has shown some solid pace and good speed with the team and program, and I don't think anything will change with that going into next season. One driver that could be in conversations for silly season in the top 3 series is Eric Almirola. He's had a win so far this year in Xfinity competition in Phoenix, and there was talk of maybe him being in Cup in some way, shape, or form next year, but I don't know what will happen with him. We might see him do some more Cup stuff and Xfinity Series stuff next season. One driver that might be a potential candidate for a Cup Series ride next year is Sam Mayer. It was brought up in the Athletic that he was a name that everyone should be looking at during the May and June. I think Sam Mayer would be an interesting driver to be in Cup in some way, shape, or form. If he goes Cup racing, it will likely be with a 14. Another driver to watch for in the silly season is Corey LaJoie. Now, it was announced earlier today that Corey LaJoie will drive the 77 truck for Spire Motorsports the remainder of the season. With that downsizing, we'll talk about here in just a short little bit. But Corey LaJoie could be someone to watch out for with the Rick Ware legacy lawsuit going on at this point, which could lead Corey LaJoie to being back in Cup in some way, shape, or form. A driver's name that's been brought up in recent weeks about coming to NASCAR is Cletus McFarland, as he could be in the Truck Series in some way, shape, or form next year. I don't expect him to go full-time if he goes Truck Series racing. If Brett Jones Racing does end up joining the Truck Series full-time, I think he's the most likely candidate to make some starts. And there's some other drivers who could get behind the wheel of this program, but Cletus McFarland's name has been brought up as a potential candidate to join up with that team in 2026. One driver that I would expect to return to Kaulig Racing in 2026 is Ty Dillon, as Bob Pockets reported a couple months back that Ty Dillon is working on a contract extension with Kaulig Racing. Ty Dillon's had some decent speed this year in 2025, and I don't think there'd be a reason considering the sponsorship that he has and funding he has currently at the moment. In my opinion, it makes no sense to get rid of Ty Dillon with how well he's been running at points this year. It's also expected that Riley Herbst will be returning to 2311 Racing in 2026. It does depend on what happens to the lawsuit, but he does have a multi-year contract with the team and program. But again, it all comes down to what happens with the lawsuit currently at the moment between NASCAR 2011 and Front Row. But I expect Riley to stick around with the program. Same thing goes for Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace does have a contract pending for 2026 and will return to the program. He also just won the Brickyard 400 a couple weeks ago. He's been having a really good year, 4 straight top 10s going into this weekend's race at Richmond. He will stick around with 2311 Racing for the 2026 season. During Michigan weekend, it was confirmed that Ram will be returned to the Craftsman Truck Series in 2026, and they may have a Dodge program as early as 2027. Teams like Brett Jones Racing, GMS, and Kaulig have been linked to the Ram program for next season, and there's some other teams that could be making some of those changes going into 2026 and also 2027 as well. Another manufacturer has been talked about is Honda. There's a rumors that Honda could be joining NASCAR as early as 2027. If they were to join 2027, they'd have to have a body announced in the next month or so, which they haven't announced a body at this point. With rumors about the uncertainty in IndyCar currently at the moment, Honda could be on the move and coming to NASCAR very, very soon. One driver we should be expecting to return to the Wood Brothers next year is Josh Berry. He has a multi-year contract with the Wood Brothers currently at the moment. He's been having an okay season, though his numbers are very similar to Shane Van Gisbergen's currently at the moment, but he does have the win in Vegas, which will keep him in that number 21 car, at least for next season. It's also expected that Chris Buescher will return to RFK Racing next season. I tentatively believe he has a contract through 2026, but contracts can't easily be broken. But Chris Buescher's had a solid season with RFK. He'll stay in the number 17 car, at least for next year. Same thing goes for Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is also expected to return to RFK Racing next season. In traditional points, he'd be 15th in the regular season standings. He's had a breakout year with this organization. He's had around 10 top 10s so far this year, and I think he's been doing a really good job with this organization so far in 2025. It's also expected that John Henry Mitchell will return to Legacy Motor Club next year and continue driving a number 42 car. John Hunter's had some really good runs with the program. He's had a really strong season with that team at points, has had some good runs. He's expected to continue driving for Legacy, at least for the foreseeable future. A driver that could be headed over to Legacy Motor Club if they get a third charter is Jesse Love. Jimmy Johnson is very high on Jesse Love currently at the moment. Jesse's a very talented race car driver. He's had some really good runs over there in the Cup, in a couple of the Cup runs he's had. And I think he's a very talented driver, making another Cup start this weekend at Richmond. I think there's a chance he could be in a potential third car for Legacy Motor Club going into 2026. Someone that we've known it's been confirmed to be joining up with the Truck Dodge program next year is Dana White. Dana White has confirmed his involvement, and it sounds like he'll be involved in some way, shape, or form. Some sort of gong show that they might be doing for next season. Expect Dana White to be involved in some way, potentially in 2026. One team we know for sure, though, that will not be switching over to Ram in 26 is Nice. They have a long-term relationship with Chevrolet. Chevy's very high on Nice currently at the moment. With news around Kaden Honeycutt that we'll talk about here in just a short little bit. Nice may not be making the switch anytime soon. They will stick around with the Chevrolet programs going forward into the future. We now know about a month ago that it was reported that TJ Pusher had purchased Rick Ware Racing and is looking to have a 3-car operation by 2027. Though TJ Pusher is involved in the Rick Ware Legacy lawsuit currently at the moment that could thwart that potential expansion possibility coming up very, very soon. He is right now looking to purchase that program for 2026. It was confirmed about a month or so ago that Daniel Suarez would not be returning to Trackhouse Racing into the 2026 season. There is an outside chance he could go over to Spire Motorsports next year in the NASCAR Cup Series, but I'm leaning toward different. I think he's going to go back down the NASCAR Xfinity Series next year and join up with Junior Motorsports. I think that's the best outcome for him currently at the moment right now. I think it's the best place he could go to at this particular moment. I think he goes to Xfinity Series competition and races for Junior Motorsports in 2026. A driver that could become a free agent at the end of this year is Tyler Reddick. It all depends on what happens with the lawsuit. There are people still think there's a good chance he'll stay with 23rd Line Racing throughout the remainder of the lawsuit currently at the moment. But the unknowns and uncertainty of the charter situation over at that program right now, it's unknown what will happen with Reddick, but I would expect Tyler Reddick more than likely to stick around with 23rd Line Racing, but could become a free agent. One team that has expressed interest in coming over to NASCAR is Rahal Lerman Lanigan Racing. After his announcement, he would not be back with BMW and into next year. There is talk they could have a Truck Series program next year. They could be the potential candidate team that could go to the Ram program next season. Bobby Rahal's had prior experience being in NASCAR before. I can see this being a potential possibility. There's been a lot of rumors and speculation that Carson Quaffle signed a development contract with Team Penske. Now, it was noted by Chris Knight, and a couple of Nighter as well, basically, that he expects that he will stay with the organization of Junior Motorsports next year. This could be very similar to a loan at this point. This doesn't mean he'll leave Junior Motorsports to go over to Penske, but there's a chance he is signing a development contract and may in the future be a Penske driver, but might stay with Junior Motorsports in 2026. There's also rumors and speculation that Call Up Racing could join the Truck Series in 2026 with Dodge and Ram. Chris Rice did say that that's not fully 1,000% accurate of what's happening at this point, but there's a lot of plans going on with the Call Up Racing organization currently at the moment. It is still unknown at this point, though, what Call Up Racing will do. They could be the Dodge team, but there's a lot of uncertainty on that rumor at this point. We'll see what happens at the moment. One driver that might make more starts in NASCAR Cup competition next year is Jimmie Johnson. With it being announced that San Diego will be on the schedule a couple weeks ago, Jimmie Johnson expressed more interest in wanting to run more NASCAR races in 2026. I would expect him to run the San Diego event and other NASCAR events throughout the remainder of the year and also going into 2026 as well, as Jimmie Johnson loves racing and wants to continue racing for the long-term and foreseeable future. It was announced about 2 or 3 weeks ago that Denny Hamlin has signed a multi-year contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing through 2027. There is a chance that this could be the final contract extension for Denny Hamlin with this program. Denny Hamlin's had a really good career in the sport. He won't be going anywhere, at least for now. He will stay with Joe Gibbs Racing at least for the next couple years and couple of seasons. One driver that's on the hot seat currently at the moment right now is Justin Haley. It's not hot, it's scorching hot at this point. There's been a lot of talk that Justin Haley could lose his ride at Spire Motorsports at the end of this year. He might not even finish a season with Spire Motorsports at this point. I would give him one more year with the team currently at the moment, but there is a chance Justin Haley may not be back with Spire Motorsports in 2026. In the supercar world, it was announced that Will Brown and Brock Feeney has signed extensions to continue racing in supercars in 2029. We also know that Will Brown and Brock Feeney have expressed racing in NASCAR, but they'll stick around with Red Bull and the groups over there at least for the next couple of years. And we won't see them in NASCAR full-time for the foreseeable future, as both will get a little bit older. Brock will be around 27 or 28 at the end of the contract, while Will Brown will be in his 30s at that particular point. It was announced about 2.5 weeks ago that Josh Williams had parted ways with Call Up Racing and won't drive with Call Up Racing for the remainder of the season. After a little bit of struggle with the team and program, they wanted to make changes. They've had a lot of guys from the Spire Motorsports group come in. We'll talk about them in just a short little bit here. But as of now, we won't be seeing Josh Williams back with the team for a little bit. There's been a lot of talk that the Haas factory team could be bought by Legacy Motor Club as a Plan B backup in case something goes wrong with the lawsuit going forward between Legacy and Rick Ware in the future. Haas factory teams had a lot of struggles in Cup competition. This could have a big effect on their Xfinity Series program going into the future right now. There's a lot of uncertainty around that part at the moment right now, but we'll see what happens. But there's a chance Haas factory team may not even exist in NASCAR Cup competition in 2026. One driver that we might be seeing full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series next year is Corey Day. Corey Day has been linked to having a full-time Cup Series program with the Hendrick Motorsports team. Hendrick is very high on Corey Day. He's been starting to pick up and do a lot better in the NASCAR Xfinity Series currently at the moment. They're very high on him at this point. I would expect him to be full-time in Xfinity competition next year in the number 17 car for Hendrick Motorsports. It was confirmed about a week ago that Caden Honeycutt will be officially out of Nice Motorsports effective immediately. He will drive for Homer Friesen Racing for the remainder of the season as Stuart Friesen unfortunately suffered an injury about 2 weeks ago, and he's expected from what has been reported to be joining Tricon Garage next year in the number 11 machine. Caden is a very talented driver. He's someone that I think has shown potential against guys like Corey Heim and Lane Racing Chandler Smith, who we'll talk about here in just a short little bit. This sounds like he's a front runner to go over to Tricon Garage in 2026. This means that Corey Heim could be out of Tricon Garage at the end of this season, and it's unknown what he will be doing for next year. It sounds like he won't be back in Truck Series competition next season. He might be moving up to the Xfinity Series. He could go to Sam Hunt Racing, won't go to JGR. There's a new rumor out there he could go to Spire Motorsports next year. I'm not sure the validity of that report at the moment. There's unknowns around that, but there is a very good chance and possibility that Corey Heim will not be sitting at Tricon Garage in 2026 and might be getting a promotion, which I think has been well earned and deserved at this point. In a recent article by Bob Pockrass, it's been noted that Brent Cruz could likely be added to the NASCAR Xfinity Series on a full-time basis in 2026 with Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, granted, he won't turn 18 until March, so he'll likely miss the first few races of the year next year, but Brent Cruz, very talented driver. Joe Gibbs Racing and the Toyota Group is very high on him. They think he could be the potential landing replacement for Denny Hamlin once he retires at the end of 2027, more than likely. Brent is a very talented guy. Do I think he's fully ready for Xfinity? Who knows at this point, but he keeps getting brought up as a potential candidate to go full-time next year. It's also expected that Taylor Gray will likely be returned to Joe Gibbs Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series next year in the number 54 car. Taylor has shown a lot of potential and promise, has been getting faster years progressed and went on. I think he's done a really good job. I would expect him to stick around with Joe Gibbs Racing at least for one more year in 2026. It's also expected that Chandler Smith will return to Front Row Motorsports in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series once again in the 38 truck. One of the few guys that's been able to keep up with Corey Heim throughout the season. He's had a really strong year with the organization, looks to win one more races when we get to 2026 as well. It's also expected that Lane Briggs, I would expect, would return to Front Row Motorsports in the Truck Series in 2026. Lane Briggs had a really good year. The guy who's been up against Corey Heim has done a really good job and has gotten 2 wins so far this year, including 2 wins in the last 4 events. Lane Briggs will stick around Front Row more than likely in 2026. Bob Pockrass noted in that same article as well that Nick Sanchez could be a potential candidate for a Cup Series C as early as 2027. There's been talk he could go over to RCR if Jesse Love does in fact move up to the NASCAR Cup Series with Legacy Motor Club. If not, he might stay with Big Machine. They could have 2 cars next year for something I've heard, but Nick Sanchez is a candidate for a Cup Series ride in the next couple of years. It was announced last Friday that Shane Van Gisbergen has signed a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse Racing that will keep in the number 88 seat for the next 2 to 3 years. And I would not be surprised if it's 5 or 6 years at this point. How dominant Shane's been at road course and really no one else, maybe outside of Connor Zolch, being in the same league at this point, this made the most sense. He's been really strong with Trackhouse for the last couple of years. He'll stick around with the organization at least through 2027 and also 2028 as well. At Watkins Glen, Justin Marks spoke on Project 91. It sounds like it might be returning in the not-so-distant future, but Justin Marks did say they want to make sure that the program at Trackhouse Racing gets a lot better before they bring the program back quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if you see someone like a Helio Castroneves, maybe Scott McLaughlin, maybe Marcus Ambrose. I'd love to see some of those guys get a chance and opportunity, but Project 91 might be coming back here very, very soon. It was announced earlier today that Andres Perez is out of Spire Motorsports effective immediately, and he's going to be joining Nice Motorsports for the remainder of the year and season. Spire Motorsports will downsize their program, and they will only have 3 trucks. Corey LaJoie will drive the number 77 truck. Nice has some reshuffling as well, as Lake Connor Jones, Matthew Gold, and other people will get a chance and opportunities to drive for the Nice Motorsports organization this year. That will be going on for that program for the rest of the year. Speaking of Spire Motorsports, the final big thing to know. There was talk that Spire Motorsports could be joining the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2026. According to what Brake Car said, according to what others like Bob Pockers have said, it sounds like Spire Motorsports will not be going Xfinity Series racing at this time for 2026. It seemed like that talk was increasing over the last couple of weeks, but those talks have simmered at this point. I do not expect Spire Motorsports to join Xfinity competition. Some of the Spire guys like Raja Carew, like maybe others like a Brendan Butterbean Queen can make starts in Xfinity next year, but I would not expect them to be full-time in NASCAR Xfinity competition in the 2026 year. So, that is going to do it for the silly season update / recap for the 2025-2026 silly season. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are thoughts about the silly season update? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And what do you think is going to happen throughout the rest of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If any other major news breaks later today, we'll discuss it live on the channel. Tomorrow, we're going to have a NASCAR news video and the Craftsman Truck Series race picks for the race at Richmond. For the Aero 250, we'll have the Cup race picks for the race at Richmond. We'll also, of course, have the paint scheme video for the weekend of Trucks and Cup. And then on Friday, have the truck review, the Cup reactions to qualifying. And then, of course, we also will have the news video dropping on Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday reactions to that. I have a silly season update or silly season predictions for 2026 dropping here really soon. Got content coming out. People like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Balls, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, Clayton Safar, Dodge, Ram, all the good stuff, Eric Almirola, you name it, all that we'll talk about it on the channel in the coming days and weeks. Same with Will Brown, Brock Feeney, Cam Waters, all the good stuff. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.